person? How does this person process information? How do we manage the expectations from this person? Okay, what are we going to do along the first steps as we get involved in dealing with this client? So I want you to think about it this way. When you walk into a doctor and you say, "Hey, doc, this hurts," they don't immediately jump to solutions. Say, "Well, take this." They ask you some questions. They kind of manage what your expectation. What were you hoping to get out of today's appointment? What were you trying to get? So the S is size up the situation. T, take them to their problem. Let's really understand what the problem is. Remember, the buyer system is to tell you a little bit, but not everything about their problem, because they don't want you to know how bad it hurts, because, oh my God, you might try and sell them something. So we need to ask questions. And that's why my group, my Facebook group, if you haven't joined it yet, go to Facebook/groups/question led selling and join my free Facebook community for weekly sales tips. But what we talk about, what is the problem that this person has? Because the first problem they bring you is seldom the real problem. It's just part of the problem. And then extend that problem in the future. What's the cost of not doing anything? What are the benefits of doing something right away instead of letting this problem fester? Then, when you fully understand what the problem is, understand what the next, then we can talk about what we can do to solve the problem and then go from there. So that's my step up system. That's what people will join my group, get training on each one of these steps. If they need to go any further, we need to stop, get this to go again. I'm sorry. Okay. So again, my company is 3D Sales Training. I do sales coaching, fractional sales management, and I also do public speaking. So I do a lot of different topics on everything from the patterns of three, why selling three, habits of successful people, barriers to success, the physics of sales. So if you're looking for a motivational speaker, you're looking for somebody to do some sales content at some of your conventions, that's also what I provide and what I do. But when we talk about the patterns of three, why is 3D the name of my company? Because the mind can only handle patterns of three. And matter of fact, our brain is broken into three different levels. We have our primate level, center of our brain that developed first. Then we have the limbic part of our brain where we started developing feelings and emotions. And then we started thinking about the neocortex, the last part of our brain that started develop. So our brain actually works in three. And three is a pattern that our brain can handle. More than three becomes complex and too difficult. Can you really imagine going to your client and going through a 12-step sales program? Can you even remember 12 steps in the program? So our mind has been conditioned in patterns of three from childhood. Three blind mice, three bears, hot, cold, just right. Three strikes, you're out in baseball. The Three Stooges, the Three Little Pigs, and they went we all the way home. Not we. Three Billy Goat Gruff, three wise men, three gifts. It is amazing if you think about all the different things in our life that revolve around three. And when we also start thinking about do, re, mi, row your boat, tic tac toe, ready, set, go, one, two, three, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, three-sided pyramids, three bases in baseball, and three strikes, you're out. So if you start thinking about all the different things that we do that are revolve around three, it only makes sense that sales would be something that we think about, because Maslow even said, all we need is someone to love, something to do, and something to hope for. So many things throughout your life are in patterns of three. So I want you to think about why patterns of three are so important to you. And if you really do use patterns of three in sales, okay? And even the power of the pyramid. A lot of people think that the pyramid contains some type of mystical powers for, benefits of preserving food, sharpening razor blades, improving health. And the origin gained popularity during the New Age movement in the 70s that centered around the idea that the ancient Egyptians understood and utilized forms of energy and inertia through the pyramid power. So it only makes sense that we think about sales. Now, if you think about sales in three, sales, keeping patterns of three, are, do we have the right actions and behaviors? Do you have the right skills? And do you have the right feelings or attitude? Now, if you think about this, if you do the right behaviors, you make the phone calls you're supposed to do, you do the prospecting you want to do, think about how you're going to feel about that. How you act controls how you feel more than how you feel controls how you act. But if you put these three things together, if you have the right behaviors, the right attitude, and the right sales skills, you'll be successful. And this can happen to anything in life. I mean, even if you're trying to lose weight, think about it. If you do the right behaviors, you watch your diet, you count your calories, what are you going to feel like at the end of the day if you did the things that you said you were going to do? You're going to feel great. But then what are the skills you need, to be able to go out and walk a mile? What do you need to do to exercise? So if you put anything you do in life and you use this power of the pyramid, if you will, and think about feelings, actions, and skills, you'll be successful. And I think about your feelings come from how you feel about you or your company, how you feel about yourself, about God. 34 top business leaders were surveyed. The one thing they all had in common was a strong belief in something. And people that have a strong belief in something tend to be more successful in life than those who don't. And then how do you feel about the current marketplace? That controls your feelings or your attitude. Okay. And your action results of, do you have goals, long term, short term, daily goals? Do you have a plan? Do you fine tune them and do you track them? And this is something we go into in real detail in our training to make sure that salespeople don't necessarily just have the skills, the techniques, but are they doing the behaviors that they need to do? Are they doing the right actions? Are they making the prospecting calls? Are they doing the things that need to be done to be that part of the triangle? And then the skills are, do you have the guts, discipline, and desire to use the system that I will teach you to be good at sales? All right. Do you have a system? I even like to say to somebody, even if you don't like my system, at least get one. Most salespeople, if you ask them to describe on a vanity license plate their selling system, it'd be wing it. Most salespeople just wing it. They show up, they throw up, they do benefits and features. Somebody asked me the other day, what's different about my program than traditional sales stand? Most sales training is about how to overcome objections and how to present your features and benefits to a client. My system is about, does this client qualify to be your client? Do they have a pain that you can fix? Will they invest the time, the money, and effort it takes to fix the pain? And can they make a decision to spend the money to fix the pain? Once that happens, then you can really work with somebody to get better. So, excuse me for a second. Motion sensor lights, so we're live. All right. So, all right. Now, selling's really easy. If you think about selling in the power of three, selling is, get the appointment. What are you doing to get in front of people? What are you doing during the presentation? How are you presenting your services to somebody? And then what are you doing to close the sale? Any training that I do incorporates those three things, but we make it simple. Again, what I want you to think about, the reason I use this symbol as my logo is anything we do, get the appointment. There's three things to do to get the appointment. Making the presentation, there's three things. Only pitch to three. Don't pitch to more than that. What methods, what are the three steps to closing? Everything is done in patterns of three so that your brain can accept anything that we teach you. Teaching is fantastic. There's a lot of things that one can teach you from reading a book, sales training. But if it gets too complicated, if there's more than four benefits and services that you're trying to present to somebody, the mind can't comprehend it. All right. So when we talk about the appointment, three things is, do you even have a prospecting awareness? Are you thinking about every time you're out every day how you can prospect? Do you have a systematic approach to the weekly prospecting activities? And do you close for the appointment, not the sale? You need to think about it, those of you who are salespeople. The close is to get the appointment. The presentation and the close is once you're there with them. Don't get too confused with trying to present all your wares and services at the first conversation that you have with somebody. So that's the three steps that we deal. And in each one of these, there's three steps. So in every one of these, there's three different things that we teach. All right. And why do we call it prospecting? Because if you start exploring the land for a possible place to dig, you're just like a prospector whose goal out there is to find some gold. But most of the time, you're going to go through a lot of dirt as opposed to a lot of prospecting gold right away. You're going to go through a lot of dirt. Okay. And this is my wheel of fortune that I call. When anybody I'm going to work with and I'm going to coach, we're going to develop a wheel of fortune. Let me give you the concept. A wheel is only as strong as the number of spokes. I mean, if you have a bicycle wheel, it's only got two spokes, it's going to collapse. So I want you to think about your activities, your behaviors, the things you do to prospect to get more appointments with people. Is it referrals, referrals, referrals? What are you doing every week to give referrals? Are you giving referrals or are you expecting people to give them to you? Are you consistently calling somebody, hey, 3 weeks ago you bought from me? Are you still happy with it? Is there anybody you'd like to share me with? Are you doing that? Are you doing your Facebook and your social media activities, posting, responding to other people? Are you doing walk and talks, meetups, whatever we do? Are you doing the 3 foot rule? You get within 3 foot of somebody, they should get your business card. The 3 foot rule says this: I don't know that that guy standing next to me in the elevator can use my product or service, but unless he gets my business card, we won't even engage in a conversation. But it might be somebody he knows that could use my product or service. So are you thinking about that prospecting awareness? Are you doing networking? Are you going face to face? The idea is at the end of the week, if you do all the behaviors that you said you're going to do, at 5 o'clock on Friday, you get to go home and have a guilt-free weekend if you've checked off all of your Wheel of Fortune activities that you need to do. You know, Prospecting, appointment setting is job one, because without appointments, you're out of business. So, what are you doing to get more appointments? Do you use a systematic approach? A selling system is great, but a systematic approach to get those appointments is, you've got nobody to close if you haven't done the prospecting. When I deal with a lot of companies, that's what I'm finding the number one problem is with some of the sales teams. They're not doing enough activities to get in front of people. Somebody says to me, hey, I want to improve my selling. Well, let's see what's going on there. What's your closing rate? I don't know. Really? You don't track it? How do you know? Well, I think I'm a 50% closer. Well, then you need to either see more people or increase your closing ratio. Clients that go through my client program have about a 75% closing ratio because they're only pitching to people who will buy the product or service. Okay. And patterns in three and prospecting, remember this: some will, some won't. So what? Stop whining. We got to go into that thought process of keeping this in three. Everything we do stays around the three theme. Make the presentation. Are you using your bond rapport skills to bond with this person? In all the years I've been a sales trainer, nobody's ever argued with this. People tend to buy from people they like and they trust, and people like and trust people like themselves. And I bet you everybody listening to me right now online, watching this video later, thinks that. But if that's true, how many hours a month do you spend sharpening your bonding and rapport skills? It is amazing me the number of salespeople that just show up and think this person's going to trust them. So we teach a lot of different ways to build bond and rapport, how to become that trusted advisor. Are you asking questions to find out what the real pain and what the real problem is? You'll make more sales in my system, not because you have a better product or service than a competitor or a lower price, but you'll make more sales in my system because you ask more questions to find a problem or a pain that the competitor didn't find. It's kind of like going to the doctor. If you go to 10 doctors and none of them diagnose what's wrong with you, but the 11th doctor does, who do you want treating you? Do you want to run back to the first doctor because he was cheaper? You want the doctor who diagnosed what's wrong with you to be the one to do the fulfillment and fix the problem. And that's what we do here. Now, I want you to understand, only present the three pains. No more than that. Don't try and upsell somebody. Close today on the product or problem they have now. You can always go back later, but don't try and add, hey, you also need this. This is a problem. Be careful about pitching more than three different steps. And in the presentation, say, we don't present to anything more than three problems that this client has. And then qualify. You got to think about it this way. Does this prospect have a problem you can fix? If you check that off, then you go to the next one. Yeah, but will the prospect spend the time, the money, and effort it takes to fix it? Because it doesn't matter what you charge. It matters what the client expects to pay. Can the prospect make a decision to invest the time, the money, and the effort? Who's involved in this process? Who else makes the decision along with this person? Okay. And I have a pain survey that I show people how to send out to somebody before you even meet with them, what some of their challenges and issues tend to be. But I want you to remember thinking about this: only pitch to one pain, two pains, or three pains. Keep it simple, stupid. All right. Cartman's Triangle says this, even this three. He says in every relationship, you're playing one of these roles. You're either the persecutor, the rescuer, or the victim. And we move rapidly around these from one to the other. Your prospect might start out as a persecutor. All you salespeople are all alike. And then they come, I'm a victim. I don't have any money. People don't get back to me or whatever. And then they come to the rescuer and you become the rescuer. So always think in patterns of three, even relationships. Do not offer more than three options to a prospect at a time. The mind can't handle it. The mind can't handle more than three options at any one time. Okay. And then close the deal. Review the pain, the budget, the decision. Use a scale of, hey, Mr. Prospect, on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I doing so far as offering a product or service that solves your problem? And I'm going to give you the magic dust right here. Never say to a client, so what do you want to do? Because that gives them the option to say, well, they like to think it over, TIO. Always say to the prospect, hey, I've done this, I've solved this problem. You told me it was this is the price that I can solve your problem at. What would you like me to do next? Always put it on what the client wants you to do next, okay? Now, let me do one more housekeeping bit here. So, I want to remind you something about this. Do you have a prospected awareness? Are you thinking about that all the time? Do you have a systematic approach to check off to make sure you're doing the Wheel of Fortune activities? And I want you to make sure you close for the appointment, sell via the phone, email, etc. for the appointment. Don't try and sell everybody on your product or service on the first conversation you have with that person. Okay. Rules of three. You can follow up a statement that a client makes or give information a client gives you with the because three different times. When the client says, I was always looking for a better price because the price we got now is a little higher than I want to spend because, well, they've raised my rates because, and three times you can get those. And the more information you get, the better you're going to be. Your job is to get information, not give it. Now, that is a concept that is completely different to most people that come to my training. Most people are trying to get out there to qualify to be the prospect's vendor. What we're doing is figuring out, does this prospect qualify as you, the vendor, to be your client? So your job is to get information at the beginning, not give it. The more information you have, the better job you can do at the presentation and fulfillment step later. So three things that make you different than the competition is what you need to come up with. And the word here is different. Different is better than better. Everybody's out there trying to tell them why they're better. But why are you different? If you haven't done it yet, you need to write down what is makes you different. Let me give you an example for me. If you're considering thinking of me as a public speaker, come do a motivational speech. What makes me different than a traditional motivational speaker is I think myself as a behaviorist. My job is to change human behavior, and I probably can't do that in a 1 hour keynote address or in a motivational speech. So any training that I do, any speaking that I do, also has a component later on where maybe a week or 2 weeks later, we have a video chat with all the people that were in the audience that might want to come back and get reinforcement training on what it is that I did for them during the public address. So that's what makes me different as far as my motivational speaking is I add a third element that isn't usually available to most people. Because here's what I think about motivational speaking. It gives you a bump, it makes you feel good. You know, I went to a motivational speak about a month ago about a guy who climbed Mount Everest. And it was really interesting because he talked about in the middle of the night, they woke up here and pop, 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 thinking it was gunshots. And it was just the potato chip bags that were exploding because of the air. With you know what that's like, the higher the air gets, so the more those pop, those bags of chips start to pop. And it's really interesting, but you know, I'm not sure that changed any behavior of anybody in the audience. We need to think about this. We need to change behavior when we do any type of a motivational speech, other than just give them a high for 10, 15 minutes or last about as long as it takes to get to their car in the parking lot. All right. So these are three questions you wish your prospect would ask you. That's one of the things I want you to think about. It. What do you wish your prospect would ask you because you'd look like a hero if they did? And then you can even say it to the prospect, say, hey, any reason you didn't ask me about our warranty program? Any reason you didn't ask me if we belong to any trade associations? Any reason you didn't ask me any awards that we've won? That's a cool way to get your information across without telling. Ask the client any reason you didn't ask me about these things. So that is a little bit of today. Why have a system? Because systems work. People fail to work systems. All right. Three, think about doing anything you do in threes because the mind can handle patterns of three. We have been conditioned since childhood to accept three. Three is the greatest number where you can have some complex information, where four, five, six starts to get too much to confuse the brain. So that's what I want to leave you with today is make sure that you think about three when you're doing your sales presentation. Come to me for support. Come to my organization. You can call me at 970-286-5665 or visit my YouTube channel at YouTube. And those of you who don't know how to do the YouTube, it's youtube.com/@ Wayne Dean, DEHN, WAYNE, But better yet, the most simple and the best thing to do is join my Facebook group. Look for question led selling in the Facebook groups. Join that group for free, and then we can decide whether it makes sense to have a relationship or not. So I'm not asking you to marry me. I'm asking, hey, do you want to have a courtship? So again, this is Wayne Dean with 3D Selling. Thank you very much.